Greetings and salutations, Geo nerds. So what's this World War II general that looks like Scott Morrison showing General MacArthur this cannon got to do with these blokes that look like a bunch of bandits, even though they're not? They're the Archer brothers. And this drag racing legend. Well, hang around, we'll find out together. So the Old North Road, well here it is. In the 1840s, the Archer brothers, they had a property up there at Durrandar and they had all this stuff down in Brisbane. And the only way to get it there and back was by basically by bullock team. So they cut this road. And we're going to have a look at this road. Most of it still exists. And this is the second of a series of 4 or 5 videos. We'll see how we go. Following this road through and seeing where it went and what's left of it, really. It's really is a big piece of our history. So anyway, hang on and we'll get going. Let's have a bit of a fly through and see what we're looking at the moment. So today we're starting at Cash's Crossing, just pulling up across the Eaton's Hill Tavern, of course. And North Road pretty much follows the course of the new road. It wobbled a little bit here, but it certainly went through there. You'll see it on the maps. Past the Bunnings there, the new big Bunnings. And around we go. That little creek crossing down there, we're going to have a look at that in more depth here through Bray Park, of course. And around we go. We're going up to Young's Crossing. We'll go a little bit past Young's Crossing in this video, but the contents of the video will only go to Young's Crossing. So there you go. There's where the Young's farm was. That's Young's Crossing there. Up onto the Dayber Road. This is the old Dayber Road went through here, but it deviated fairly quickly because of the building of the dam. It's all been moved. There's Lake Koombah, of course, and the road went around here. It did follow this curve because that's where the river was, and it turned off here in a little thing called Dunlop Lane, which is this thing here, and it went right up there. And we're going to go. That's the next video. So. Well folks, here we are at Cash's Crossing. This is where the road comes out of the river up towards the tavern. We saw this in the previous video. And here's the property, or the road, the map we're talking about here. You can see the South Pine River there. And we'll just zoom down. You can see that big property was owned by James Cash, and that's where Cash's Crossing is. The river was shallow there. There's the Old North Road heading up towards what's now Bray Park. And we'll talk more about the Bray family. There's the 4 mile crossing. We'll have a bit of a close look at that because most of that's still there. It's quite interesting. Up through what is definitely now Bray Park, Stanley Street and Samson Vale Road that headed out to Samson Vale. And up towards Young's Crossing, as we can see there. That's Young's Crossing. That's the bit you can see where it now goes up and joins the old Dayber Road. So Brisbane back then, when this was cut, this is Brisbane, the 1840s. Not much here. You know, these were some of the first people here that were not convicts or members of the military. So it was way back. And the Archer brothers and probably the Archer brothers and the Griffins and the Joiners, some of the earliest people here. So here are the Archer brothers. Band of brothers, look like a bunch of bushrangers to me. We're going to whiz through some important people here because, you know, there's a lot of people up here. This is Archibald Archer. Yeah, I know. Anyway, Sometimes your parents don't like you. This is one of the other Archer brothers. Fine-looking Victorian, pre-Victorian, isn't he? Oh, sort of. Yeah, way there. Young man, and then we have their property at Durrandar. Sorry, that's the best I can find. It's a bit of a sketch, but anyway. And here we have Ms. Joyner from the Joyner property of good old Samsonvale. And there's Mr. Griffin. And we won't dwell too long on him, but yeah, I've got a whole video of those guys. This is young Mr. Joyner, William Joyner. Quite a nice guy, but you know, couldn't be too nice in those days. Here's our mate, Mr. Young from Young's Crossing, the family that had the property on the edge of the river there. And of course, we've got our old mate here, Thomas Petrie, one of the most amazing Queenslander of all time. And here's a photo of Joseph Cash, son of James Cash. Sorry, it's the closest I could get. It's a really crappy photo. But this is him. And here's our old mate, Mr. Lawn, Stephen Lawn from Lawton, the blacksmith at Lawton. So, and there we go. And here's an older Tom Petrie. Still a great looking man. Just look at the guys. Amazing stuff. And they did things a bit different out here when one of the Joiners ran for mayor of what was Caboolture. You ride it on your bullock team. So, you know, probably the equivalent of driving around the block. This is the house of Tom Petrie, Marumba, no longer there, of course. This is the house of the Bray family, just down at Lawton on the side of the road there. And this is the mill of the Francis family at the entrance to Lawton of Francis Road, of course, the flour mill. But then things were changing. So Camp Strathpine, built in 1942 to 1943. This is 15,000 men. There's Scott Morrison talking to General MacArthur, showing him which end of the gun the bullet comes out of. 15,000 servicemen, the 1st Division, cavalry. You say one thing about the Americans, mate, they don't do shit by halves. They just don't. This was an enormous base. Here it is here. Now, this isn't all the US. The US is mainly on the left-hand side of this. On the right-hand side, we had RAAF squadrons. We had RAF squadrons at one stage. And but the bit that most people concentrate on is Camp Strathpine, which is this bit over here, which is now Bray Park and Joyner, basically, and Lawton. So what I've done is I've taken the old map and I've superimposed modern Joyner and Lawton onto it for you. So if you live out here, you know who I'm talking to, you'll be able to see where you were in that camp. And yeah, anyway, it's amazing. Really is amazing how big this place was. So a little bit of monkey magic here, get you going, and we'll have a look at the RAAF side, which wasn't always a happy event, as we will see. So let's have a little look at some of the RAAF things we had there. We had three runways operating here, mate. One is now Spitfire Avenue, no prizes for that, but there were two others as well. Let's have a look at that. Well, folks, the RAF and the RAAF were both. There was another runway down on what we now call the Bald Hills Flat. So this is Spitfire Avenue. A couple of Spitfires taking off on it, strangely enough. Here's the strip again. A few blokes camped on the side of the strip there. Probably not a great place to camp. A few tents. These are in 1945. Spitfire Avenues. Here the runway's been deliberately trenched to stop people landing on it. Obviously mistakenly identifying it as Eagle Farm, I doubt it. And here it is again. You can see Samsonvale Road, not Samsonvale Road, Bell's Pocket Road heading down there, and you can see the little shops there. And this is what was there. These awesome things. Nothing sounds like a Merlin coming towards you. Absolutely nothing. This is an ex-RAF Spitfire, World War II ilk, one of the early ones. Just look at the canopy. And yeah, amazing. Now, speaking of heroes, this guy is a hero. This is John Gorton. He was Australia's 19th Prime Minister. This is what he looked like before his face hit the dash, hit the gun sight in his aircraft as he crashed it because of some damage to the runway that wasn't seen up in World War II. So this is John Gray Gordon, GCMG. God calls me God. My God, he's the 19th Prime Minister of Australia. I don't remember him, 1968 to 1971. I remember him, but no, I wasn't into politics back then, so have no opinion other than he was obviously a hero because he flew a Spitfire and saved us all from speaking Japanese. It doesn't always end with beer and medals. At 8:50 a.m. on the 19th of April 1944, 3 Spitfires from 548 Squadron RAF took off from Strathpine Airfield. These Spitfires had a mid-air collision just north of Strathpine, and both pilots were killed. And to this day, it is still commemorated at the top of Young's Crossing in the park there. You'll see a memorial stone to these guys, and they were unfortunately both killed. So it doesn't always end in beer and Skittles.
And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
So folks, one other significant landmark on the north side here is where the Old North Road crosses 4 Mile Creek. And here it is on the old 1858 map. I just want to put some names. Wiley, anyone who went to drive in at Strathpine knows where Wiley Park is. And Leach, Lang, Cash, they're all there. And there's the crossing there. So let's have a bit of a look at that because the Old North Road is preserved in this crossing. You can see that's where the modern road goes there, and the Old North Road crescent is clearly marked, and I've checked the old maps, it is exactly correct. That's where the road used to go, right through there. Because there was no bridge, they needed to cross the river, and they did. Here's the LiDAR, you can see the river actually was quite wide there, or the creek, and that's the way it is. Well folks, here we go. Here's the Bray family on the veranda of their farm. In 1914, one of those little fellas is going to be John Bray, for sure. And here's an aerial of Strathpine. There's the old runway from World War II, still visible. The Spitfire Avenue is obviously still visible. We're going to zoom down here up to Launton, and this is where the Bray family farm was here. So yeah, wasn't it Bray Park? This is John Bray, and he was the second generation and long-time councillor, which is what Bray Park is named after, although I reckon it should be named after this guy, Victor Bray. One of my heroes. Went to school with my brother-in-law. Never met the man myself, but I've certainly watched him race, and he's pretty damn good. Well, folks, here we are back on the track again. Old North Road 2, done. The third one's going to take a little while because it's too hot to go walking through that bush at the moment, but we'll be there soon. Don't worry about that. And Victor Bray, amazing guy. Can't speak more highly of him. He's not doing too well at the moment. I wish him all the best. Anyway, you know what I'm going to say. Keep rocking. T-Rock's out.